Hey friend, and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Morgan and you are on my homestead here in Wyoming. And today is an exciting day. Today is the day that we get our 2024 garden all kicked off. So we wrapped up our harvest this past weekend with potatoes and carrots, which I'll take you through that story when we get out there. That was a little bit of a wild one, but it was overall successful, which is great news. But that means it is time to get things prepped for winter. We have some very cold weather coming in, which means I need to get these in the ground, because if I don't get them in the ground here soon, we will have frozen ground and I won't be able to do so. So what I'm talking about is our garlic. It is finally time to get this in the ground. I'm a little bit late on it, but better late than never. So I'm gonna run you through the varieties that I have chosen to go with this year, and I'm super excited to get it in the ground. So what we're gonna do is just start with them. I got 3 different varieties because if you do a lot of gardening, you know varieties are sometimes great, sometimes not so great, because it's really hard to decide what you want to go with. So what I'm going with this year is 2 softneck varieties and 1 hardneck variety. The hardneck variety is the kind that is a lot of the bigger garlic cloves, and that's really great for things like garlic powder or freezing garlic. Hardneck garlic is not going to last as long. Its storage life is pretty short, so I'm just doing 1 variety of hardneck garlic. And then I have 2 varieties of softneck garlic. Now, softneck garlic is what you find in the grocery store. It stores really well, its shelf life is pretty long, and it's a little bit easier to grow. However, you're not gonna get like a garlic scape from a softneck variety. You will only get those from a hardneck variety. So these are ones that once we pull them, we can braid them up and keep them in the storage room. So all garlic has great purposes. You just have to decide what garlic makes the most sense for your garden. So let me pull you in and let's go through these varieties. Okay, so the hardneck variety I went with, and this is a super common one, is called Music. And this is, I feel like when you think of a hardneck garlic, it's Music. And I got all of these from My Gardener this year. So here is our hardneck garlic. See how it has this really hard like stem coming out of it? That's how we know it's hardneck. And what we need to do is we want to keep the paper on, but we need to break apart the cloves. We want to keep them in as good of tact as we possibly can, because these are what are going to go into the ground. The paper doesn't matter, but we want to break them apart so that we're going to plant each individual clove. Oops, I pulled off the paper there. That's okay. And see, that's kind of the quote unquote neck. So I got 6 cloves off of that, which hopefully will in turn mean 6 garlic plants. And then I'm just gonna put them back in the bag because they are labeled here. So that was our Music. Then I did a Nootka Rose, I think is how you say it. This is a softneck variety. These are nice size. These look great. Look how big those are. Okay, so we're gonna wanna do the exact same thing with these. Pull apart the cloves. And then finally, I got a silver white. Let's take a look at that one. Traditionally, hardneck garlics are a lot more intense in flavor compared to a softneck, but as you can see, the softneck is kind of what we're used to at the grocery store. So this is our silver white garlic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get these bulbs separated, or the cloves separated, and then put back in the bags, and then we're gonna go take them outside and get them planted. And so like a small clove like this, I'm probably just gonna keep in the house and we'll just eat it, because a small clove is gonna lead to a really small head of garlic. So we'll probably we'll see how I'm feeling when we get out there. I'll obviously bring them with me, but there's a chance that I won't put them in the ground depending on how we're looking space-wise. Okay. So that is all of our, what is this one? Nootka Rose. So that did awesome. And I did want to count, let's see, Okay, that's 32 in there, plus our, what was 6? 6, so we're at 38. And I think I'm just gonna write a count, how many is on the bag. What did I, 6, 32. All right, and I'm gonna repeat the process for these silver whites. All right, final count is 52 cloves of garlic, which hopefully in turn will give us 52 heads of garlic or bulbs of garlic. We will see, hopefully. We have really, really harsh winters here, but I'm hopeful. I'm gonna cover them, put them pretty deep, and I'm hopeful that we can get them to grow just fine. So let's go ahead and get these going outside. I feel good about 52. I do have some store-bought garlic that I could put in the ground as well. It's just, when you buy a seed garlic, you're making sure that it is like disease-free versus when you get it from the grocery store. They're not guaranteeing that because they're not expecting you to plant them. So I'm gonna start with this many, see how that looks, see how it's looking in the space, and then I can always pull more if you want, or we want, but I feel pretty good about that. We don't need to grow enough garlic to feed a small village. It's just 2 of us here, so I think we're good with just 52, but we'll see when we get out there. Let's head outside. All right, you guys. So you can see we've got some really nice looking soil. It's been amended. It looks great. I do have a few random tomatoes in here, so there's a chance that we'll have tomatoes in with our garlic, but that's no problem. So we are, I think what I'm going to do, I don't want to put it too close to the fence line because as you can see, we get a lot of weeds there. So I want to make sure that it's not getting blocked out. It gets as much sunlight as possible when it starts coming up. And our strawberries start right there. So I think what I'm going to do is just put them right here. And I'm going to start, I think, with a soft neck variety. Then I'm going to do the hard neck so that I can tell them apart. And then I'm going to do the soft neck again. So hi, cowgirl. You a garden girl? Cowgirl loves the garden. She's funny. Ouch. Okay. So I'm just going to start with the soft neck that's on top, which is Nootka Rose. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's okay. Okay. So let's see. I think I'm just going to dump them all out. And then I'm gonna lay them out. I like to put them about 2 inches apart. And we want them to be, when you plant them, pointy side will go up. Okay, this is looking good. So my funny cowgirl. So my potato and carrot story that I promised you all. So I came out here the other day and the pigs had broken into the garden, which sounds like the worst thing ever, right? My nightmare, which during growing season, it is my nightmare. However, they came pretty much at the perfect time because it was right as basically everything was out of the garden. So I had, let's see, I had some cantaloupe left. I had just a few pumpkins. Hi, cowgirl, you're kind of in the way. I had potatoes and carrots left and then some peppers left. So I came out, saw they were in the garden and was like, oh no, everything that's left they ate. They came right through this area, which is where we had our potatoes and carrots further down. And there was pig tracks everywhere. I could see no plant signs. I was like, oh gosh, they got them all. Well, Sam helped me that day and we started digging for potatoes, and I wouldn't say we got a ton. I'll insert a picture for you. But for the circumstances, they did awesome. And then I was worried because I know a lot of animals can't have raw potatoes. So then I was worried that I was killing our pigs. So we kept a close eye on them and they're totally fine. I don't think they actually ate any of the potatoes. I just don't know that our potato harvest was that great this year. So everyone's fine. We still got potatoes and all of our carrots. It was still a win, but oh gosh, I was so freaked out when I came here. But it all worked out just fine. It's no problem. But it's a good way to scare yourself. Okay. So here's this soft neck. I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and get these plant buried. We want to get them pretty well buried. Well, maybe I'll lay all of them out and then we'll bury them. Let's do that. I'm going to lay them all out. Okay. Cowgirl is very needy today. Let's get our hard neck garlic going. All right. Here's our hard neck. And you can just see how much bigger these cloves are. Okay, that'll be good. And then the rest of our soft necks. This is the silver white going in last. All right, I think that looks good. Now I'm gonna start actually digging them. So I like to just dig a little area. And then we're gonna put pointy side up. And I'm just gonna go through and get this done for all of them. And I am planting mine pretty deep because winters here are pretty brutal. All right, it was getting downright cold out here, so I upgraded my layers. And now I'm just going to lay, I have some leftover Vermont compost from this season's seed starting, and I prefer to not keep compost or soil for all that long because I find it can get not as good, but it's really, really good this year, and I want to make sure my garlic is really deep. So what I'm going to do is just sprinkle 2 bags of Vermont compost over where we just put our garlic. I did put these stakes in, so I know that the garlic goes between the strawberries and these stakes. And that'll kind of just be how I keep track of it. Sometimes in the spring I get out here and I have no idea what's where. So I want to make sure that I'm able to keep track of that. But this compost will just help make sure that our garlic is even deeper than how we planted it. And then because we have a storm coming in, it's pretty windy, so I'm going to just water it in just a little bit, not for the watering purpose, but more so that the soil doesn't blow away. In Wyoming, that does happen quite often. I'm just going to spread this out evenly. And I did amend the soil prior to putting the garlic in too, but putting compost on top definitely is not going to hurt anything. Okay. I'm happy with that. Let me get the water turned on and we'll water these in. Actually, this is looking pretty good. I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna leave it. We get snow starting, I think, tonight. So I'm just gonna leave it just like that. Okay. Now before the winter comes, I need to just get all of my water lines put away. And then just kind of get the garden cleaned up. We're pretty much there. I just want to do our final steps to make sure all of this isn't sitting out all winter long. Yeah, I'm gonna go through and do that. And then let's head inside and make some dinner after that. I'll tell you guys what, things escalated quickly out there. It was 60 degrees when I started, and by the time I got done cleaning up the garden, it was 20 degrees. So that was like an hour and a half, and it was crazy. When I was planting the garlic, all of a sudden I just felt like a wall of cold. Like it was hot, I was getting a little sweaty, it was beautiful out, and then all of a sudden there's like this wall of cold, and never warmed up. So we have a storm coming in clearly. Tomorrow the high is supposed to be like 11 degrees. So it's gonna get cold tonight, which means I want a nice, cozy, healthy dinner. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of a nice little bake. We have some moose sausage. We have this squash, this acorn squash that I found in the garden, and clearly something else was enjoying it. But I think if I cut off the skin, we can still enjoy it. It just isn't the most beautiful. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a wild rice situation. I don't know what I'm making. We're just gonna kind of play it by ear. I do have a lot of fall-like ingredients, so we're just gonna see where this takes us. First thing I'm gonna do is a cup of wild rice. And I'm gonna go rinse this off. Okay. Whoop, there's our rice. There's 1 cup of water. I'm gonna do 2 parts water to 1 part rice. Get this all out. Perfect. Let me get 1 more cup of water. There we go. And I like to add in a little bit of salt as well at this time. And then we're gonna let that cook. While that cooks, let's get going on everything else. Okay, so this is gonna be very, very simple because it's a simple meal. I want a simple cleanup. So I'm gonna put down some parchment paper and we're gonna just cut our onion into like 1/2-inch cubes probably. So I'm just going to peel it really quickly. And this is so nice because you could do this with any vegetables you have. And this is one of those things that a lot of these vegetables last for a long time. So come later in the season when we're like in pantry challenge and that kind of thing, this is a really, really nice dinner. Healthy, quick, easy, minimal dishes that we can whip together. And if you don't have wild rice, just use white rice. We're gonna make a nice little dressing for it, just to kind of help bring everything together, lighten it up a little bit. So there's my onions. Let's see what this squash is looking like. Our oven is preheated. I think that looks great. We can definitely use that. Okay, awesome. I was a little worried. Sometimes when critters get they're near things, you don't know how it's gonna go, but that's perfect. And if you want, you can save these seeds. I'm gonna give them to my animals. They're really good natural dewormer. So that's what we like to use all winter long for our dewormers. And then we actually give them shots and medication in January. And a fun fact, if you didn't know, is you can actually eat the skin of squash if you would like. What am I doing here? Obviously, I'm not going to on this one since he was shared by a critter, but I think a lot of people don't realize that that is definitely an option. But I'm just gonna give these peels to the animals. They will love it. Okay, here's where we're starting. We're gonna get the rest of the veggies prepped while this starts cooking, but I wanna get this going because these veggies take the longest. So I just have some salt, pepper, olive oil, I'm gonna do a little bit of seasoning salt. This is like a Lowry's. Ooh, that's a lot, but that's okay because we're gonna add a lot more veggies. And a little bit of maple syrup. And then this is all gonna go in a bowl together. So I'm gonna mix that up. with my hands, and then we're gonna just really spread this out. If you get them too close together, you're basically steaming them instead of roasting them, and we're trying to roast here, so. Spread everything out. I'm gonna put this into the 425-degree oven for like 10 minutes while we get the rest of our veggies prepped. All right, next to go in is gonna be our Brussels sprouts. And for these, I like to just cut off the base. And then I'm gonna cut them into fourths just because I don't love a huge piece of Brussels sprout. They're pretty strong. I really love Brussels sprouts, but I just like them to be like incorporated into the bite. So you cut yours however big you want them. And they'll cook faster this way too. Sometime I really want to try growing Brussels sprouts. I did try 2 years ago, I want to say, and they actually came up, but that was the first year that I had gardened here. So it must have been 3 years ago. And I didn't have weed cloth yet, and they actually came up, but then I had to go out of town and my weeds just ate over them. We also, if you've been here for a gardening season, know that I really struggle with bugs eating all of our cabbages, which is fine because it's a nice deterrent from the other plants, but our bugs love our cabbages, and that also meant they loved our Brussels sprouts. So I'm gonna have to try to figure that one out. That's been a bit of a struggle, but I would love to grow Brussels sprouts. They look really cool when they grow. If you've ever seen them, they kind of like grow up on a stalk. It's not what you would expect. Okay, those are all cut up. I'm just going to put them in the colander for now, so that way we can get this cutting board cleared off. I'm gonna give this a quick rinse. And then here, I just have some sausages that I'm gonna cut up. You can use whatever kind you want, Italian, apple. We use a lot of wild game sausage, so whatever you want. I do think apple would be really good in this. And I'm just gonna cut these up however big you like them. Okay, these look good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and check on our squash and onions and see how those are coming along. If they're looking good, we can get our Brussels sprouts added into them. Yum, they smell so good. Okay, I think that's a good point. I'm gonna add on our Brussels sprouts. And I'm clearly gonna make a mess. And then I'm just gonna throw in a little bit more olive oil. I did enough maple for all of them. And then just a little bit of pepper. Mix that around. And then back into the oven. All right, those things are coming along. So next I'm gonna just make a quick dressing. You're supposed to use orange juice, but I figure apple juice goes well. Apples go well with all of these things too. So I'm gonna use apple juice because I don't have orange juice. You want 1.5 tablespoons of apple juice. I probably did a little more. 1 tablespoon of olive oil, or sorry, 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar. Start with that. And then about a teaspoon of mustard. It's definitely more than a teaspoon. And you should do some maple syrup, but because apple juice is so sweet, I'm gonna skip that. Give it a nice shake. And then test it out. Yum. I'm gonna do just a little bit more apple juice. And I think that's gonna be perfect. So this has been going for a little while longer. It's smelling really yummy. Awesome. I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna throw my sausages in now. And I just want these in blank areas. And these are already cooked. They're just need heated. I think I might have overdone it with the sausage, but that's kind of how we eat around here. A lot of meat, hence all the hunting. Stick this back in and let it keep cooking away. All right, you guys, dinner is done. And the best part about this dinner is the dishes are minimal because I was able to clean as I went. So I'm just gonna throw down a little bit of rice. And then here we have our sausage, Brussels, squash, a little bake. And you can cook those as much as you like. I like mine very roasty toasty. That's how I've always enjoyed it. Then I'm just going to put a few dried cranberries on top. Feel free to cut these up if you want. And then our final two things is a little bit of goat cheese. If you don't like goat cheese, you could also do feta, or crumbled up like little pieces of brie would be phenomenal, or no cheese at all. Whatever you want. And then just a little bit of our dressing right on top. All right, you guys, I have my super yummy dinner here. I'm starving, so I am going to eat. Bowls like this are one of my absolute favorite meals because they require minimal dishes, they're healthy, and they're so yummy. So I've just been stealing little pieces of the acorn squash. It is so good. So I'm so happy we didn't let that go to waste, even though I had a little friend in the garden. But I'm gonna go eat this dinner. Thank you so much for coming with me and hanging out with me today. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe. It really helps my channel, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, friend.